Hey guys, welcome back to Colin Connection. I'm your host Will, joined by the Fossil up there in Patterson Lakes, as we do each week. How you going, Fossil?
Yeah, good, thanks, Will. Yeah, it was good to catch up with you live over the weekend, catch up with the brothers and the sisters. It was a really good weekend, Will. The Pies didn't do much, but, they qualified. That's all they had to do. So we don't know really how hard they were going. But anyway, we got there, Will, and we're a chance next week.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll do a pretty quick review this week. As much effort as the Pies really had to put in, Fossil. Yeah, some people have found a few negatives in it, some people found the positives. So anyway, but before we do get stuck into a few things, Fossil, yeah, it was great to catch up. I caught the Spirit over on Friday, and you don't get much sleep on the boat. The boat was rocking, Fossil, but. Yeah, ran into a few Collingwood supporters. We got to watch the game, which was positive, and not the result, but met some lovely Collingwood supporters. The one of the women behind the bar was a Collingwood supporter. She gave me a free drink because I was wearing the jacket. So starts off pretty well there, and yeah, it was good to see the Foss live and catch up with everybody. So yeah, no, pretty good weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
And just before we get stuck into it, Fossil. Just wanted to say, which we've got a little something here. There we are. You might want to take this to work tomorrow, Fossil. Congratulations to the Bombers. They've
Yes,
secured. It's
yes.
not. It's not a wooden spoon, but they've secured it, Fossil. So,
Well, I'll tell you what, Sue's got a big one in the cupboard there. We might take that one too. She's a big tupper wooden one from about 1930, mate. I could dong them all over the head with it.
yeah,
But
that's as old as you,
anyway,
Fossil. About you
yeah,
and the
yeah,
wooden
no.
spoon.
They played well and they ended up where they should have been too, the Bombers, I'm
They
telling you,
played. They
William.
played well.
Yeah,
Maybe.
they played all right in patches, and then but
Uh,
then it was just good night nurse. But anyway, it is what it is. But
in a,
yeah,
in a
no,
game that doesn't mean much, but you know what, Essendon, now you can go on that holiday you've had booked for what, since round four, Fossil, maybe being a bit generous there, but yeah, the Bombers they've won the spoon and now they can have some time off, Fossil, and
yeah,
Pies are on next week, so
well,
should
that's
be
right.
good.
Well, and plus they get pretty good cheap tickets too, Will, because after round five they were cactus. So if they booked early, they probably got cheaper flights, cheaper holiday package for them. So,
Yeah, the
but
Fossil
anyway,
Fossil was calling up SEN and giving a few drive-bys through the years. So you you say more on SEN than you do here, Fossil. You should talk about the Bombers a bit more. So
no,
any
that's not true, William. No, I don't like talking about it, mate.
no,
We
that's
don't
fair
like
enough.
talking.
All right. And a quick update, Fossil, 99 cents I got offered for your hat. So people are wondering now, maybe you're not getting the offers that you are. So the offers are starting to go the other way. So just so
Oh,
you.
I'm telling you, William, they have got no bloody idea. This is a one only, mate. He's up to 1,300.
Uh,
So 95 cents, mate. You can't get
I,
nothing for 95,
I swear you said
95
three
cents.
grand a couple of weeks ago, so we're starting to get him down, guys. So keep going. He's
Oh,
he's
might
starting
have
to.
been 4-3, William. I might have forgot to add the 1,300 on, but 95 cents, William, that wouldn't get you in these days. So
No, I wouldn't
no way.
really. Not even a
No way.
gum, not even gum job or something like that. Fossil, but
Yeah.
fair enough. And also, just want to clarify a point with your Fossil. Heard different opinions of people saying that. Oh, you've gotten to wildcard round, mostly negative, mostly haters of the Collingwood Football Club, and there's a lot out there. We didn't qualify for finals, and this isn't real. Well, I just wanted to say, if you go on the AFL website or you have the AFL app and you go there, they've got final series and they've got game one, game two, wildcard final games. So there you go, Fossil.
But yeah, yeah. Well, that's fair enough, William. That's all they had to do. They made it there and they got a chance next
No,
week,
no,
which is good.
I'm just clarifying, if it's finals, but I guess because you had to qualify for it, then I would argue it is finals. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I'm on your side. Well, you're right above it, mate. If you've got to qualify for him, and obviously it's final, so that's the way it is. So that'd be Essendon and a few of those St Kilda supporters. I reckon. Well,
Yeah,
but I'll
the
give
one, a
I'll
little bit
give
of
them a serve
jealousy.
at work. I'll give them a serve at work on Monday. Will
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
Oh
get
well,
stuck at
we'll
it.
we'll take it, Fossil. We're in there. So yeah, big game, guys. Now the results have fallen. We're going to be playing the Bulldogs, so we'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, this game back on Friday night, 15-6-96, Brisbane 25-9, 159, an absolute belting. One point it looked like it could go out to three triple digits there, Fossil, but then we kicked six goals in 8 minutes, was it? A matter of just that last quarter where no one wanted to play defense. And anyway, it didn't matter much, and I guess that's been the argument all week. How much did this game mean to Collingwood and resting players? I just want to say a big thank you to the AFL for bringing in these fines and bullshit, whatever they were going to do. That Scott Pendlebury gets injured, very unfortunately, but we rest him during the year. People are critical of that, and then should the Pies have just bitten the bullet and done it, and then we have the likes of Nick Dacos and Cameron. They play 60% odd game time, and hopefully that all works out next week. It's a long time in football, but yeah, obviously that Pendlebury injury fossil that didn't help us one bit.
Yeah, no, that was the last thing we wanted, Will, but it's just one of those unfortunate things. You know what happens in footy. We get a lot of injuries, and yeah, so I don't know whether he's going to be 1 or 2 weeks. Well, I'm not quite sure on the update, but yeah, he's going to be missed with his leadership on the ground. But the players that come in, I think we've got a couple of reasonably good players coming back in, so they just all got to set up and do their roles like they have been all year or most of the year. So, but that's the way it goes. But I'm sure they'll just move on and pick the best side possible to match the Dogs, and they got their own injury problems too, William. I think the big forward might be missing, so that might help us out a little bit
Yeah,
in
Norton.
defence. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it always counts themselves out. Well, you just got to get your best, pick your best side, and then they just get out there and do their thing.
Yeah, well, it was knee bursa, I think it was, inflammation to Pendlebury, and they said maybe 2 weeks. We're hopeful, Fossil, obviously, that 2 weeks. So if we qualify, if we get through elimination final or semi-finals, so fingers crossed
Mm.
there for Pendles. And then some bad news yesterday morning with Maynard. I think with MCL injury, they said, and it's I think it's a grade 1, so not major, but I mean that would nearly rule him out, you'd think, for the rest of this series, I guess, the final series. So yeah, it's hard
Yeah,
to say,
yeah.
but one like Pendlebury though, another 2, 3 weeks, like we're really on thin ice here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, he's pretty tough, Maynard Will, but I think it might be good night nurse too. Like I know he's tough as, but they got to look after him too. Like it would be great to have him back in the side, but if he's not 100%, mate, not worth it. Not worth it at all. Will could make it worse.
so Foss, yeah, exactly. Look, we'll get into the game. Not a lot to talk about. Like we said, it was really unfortunate, but we'll look forward to next week. Like I said, the Dogs in wildcard round. But early misses, I just noticed there was like it was pretty free flowing early. It looked like it was going to be a high scoring game. Membry, Hayes, like a couple of early shots, and just yeah, easy opportunities that once they get to finals, next week they're going to have to take every chance they get. And then you have McKenna kicking goal of the year or goal out of his ass. I reckon McStay's a couple of weeks ago was better at Adelaide Oval, but he's kicking goals from the boundary line, and we got guys missing from 20 meters out, so it doesn't help your case. I just want to know, Fossil. You've seen the man play in the flesh, the Macedonian marvel. Is there any chance that he's a defender like most weeks, but is there a chance that Josh Dacos ever watched his tapes or might have learned a thing or two about kicking for goal? Because geez, he just, I think both both shots were
He's not a
mongrels.
natural goal. No, that's why they're playing him where he is. With his half backer, midfielder, deliver the ball in, mate. Some blokes are good at goals, mate, and some are absolutely hopeless. But his old man, they put him down the forward pocket. Will after he'd finished in the centre, and he kicked 96 goals, and he could kick him from anywhere. Will, I'm telling you. So it's a pretty hard act to follow. Will Nicky's doing all right, but Jossie, he can just play off the half back line and feed the forwards. That'll be his job. Or he might be able to run in an open goal, William, and snag one
Well,
for us.
hard act to follow, but I mean, just that snap around the body. Like sometimes you don't get the complete purchase on it, but why would you not try and kick a drop punt when you're 30 meters out? You're running around, you're trying to settle your feet. I mean, just do the basics right. It's
Well,
just
that's exactly right, Will. You're spot on, mate. Like if they drop the ball properly, the ball dropped properly, when you're 30 or 40 out,
yeah.
you just kick through the ball and it goes as straight as a bloody arrow. I just don't get it, whether they just feel uncomfortable or what it is. But most of the time it's got to do with the ball drop. Like a couple of goals that we missed, William, you could see like they were coming too close to the man on the mark. And they take
Mm.
those couple of little jittery steps at last kick, and then they'll go left, right, all over the shop. And when you're in control of the game, you've got to make them count, mate, because against good sides, they will absolutely smash you. Like So I think that's one of the problems. But yeah, I don't understand either. Well, you think they just walk straight in, bang, kick through the ball, straight through the middle, straight over his hat.
Exactly, and well, you might have to get down there and show him this week, Fossil. But I mean, I was a bit relieved when Membry he ended up kicking a couple of goals in the end, and obviously McStay has been really good, but quiet night, and also Schultzy. But I was glad he kicked those goals because I reckon it's just going to help his confidence going into this week because his first couple of shots he missed, and he's had a couple of weeks where usually you can back him in, 90% of the time, but he just looked a bit shaky and missed that first one. Like I said, you would have written it down. And, I think those couple of goals late just build his confidence up a bit. He's still jumping at the
Yeah,
ball. He's still competing. You got to remember he's a mid forward at best. So, it was good to see that. But yeah, hopefully, and Charlie West as well. I know we're gonna jump around a little bit, Fossil, but Charlie West 3 goals. A lot of confidence, and Angus
yeah.
Anderson, he might be our next full forward. 11 touches, 5 marks, and 3 goals too. We had plenty of goal shooting practice there, Fossil. So
Yeah, no, he did very well with him. He just seems to be able to find that space, doesn't he? Well, I think he reads the play well. Like I think
yeah.
one stage there was about three or four fighting for the ball, and he just slipped a little bit forward of the contest, and I think it was McQuarrie or somebody handballed it to him, and no, he's going very well. He's dangerous and he can kick the ball, so that's what we want, Will. But I just thought William overall, they look too big and too strong for the Pies. Like you have a look around the waist, well, like we weren't sticking our tackles. Normally we
Mm.
tackle really, really well, but I don't know whether because they had the full set of steam up or something, but that was something that like we pride ourselves in. So whether that, like you said, they've just put the cue in the rack, but that's one thing I noticed. Like our tackles weren't sticking as good as they have been. And next week, William, that's where they're going to win the game. They've got to be really strong in their tackling and pressure on the ball. But we'll talk to that about that a bit
You've taken.
later.
I don't know. We haven't compared notes here, Fossil. We're going to talk about next week, but you've taken the words right off my page. So yeah, the tackling pressure. We had
But
65 in the end, but I think that once again comes back to the argument of how much did this game mean. It didn't mean anything for Collingwood, and supporters were arguing during the week like we need momentum, and you don't want to flirt with form. I do understand that, but if we had, I don't know if buts and maybes, but Pendlebury had been rested or possibly like Dacos sat off the last 24 minutes. Like, did they need to play him? Maybe they just wanted to get the run through his legs, and I don't think they would have. He left it up to Wade, our fitness guru, and McRae obviously made a decision that players, if they were sore or needed to be rested, they would have. So proof is in the pudding. We'll see how they come out against the Dogs, and we did get some rest into the likes of Cameron, Dacos, Jeremy Howe. I think only played like 72%. So we got that rest in, which was good. And I think at times, like this is Brisbane, they were playing for a top four spot. For me, all year I've had them as a premiership favourite, even if they have to play Freo over there or, they meet him in the grand final. I'll be back in Brisbane anyway. So big bodies and, how much did the game really mean to them? So 65 tackles, but were they going 100%? I doubt that anyone was going 100% on Friday. So, we can let them off in some degree. It doesn't look good, obviously, getting belted and the way they were quickly scoring goals. One fella by the name of Logan Morris, he made us look pretty second rate. But I think, like McRae said after the game, it was a learning curve for young Puncher. Usually he probably would put Frampton on him or someone to. Oh, he's the most dangerous tall forward they had. Like Hipwood's, the third tall option. He's been playing a lot of defense this year, and then you've got obviously Cameron and those sort of guys who can really do some damage. But um, yeah, you just like Logan Morris. He kept him on him. He kicked a goal. 2 minutes later, he's marked again, kicked another goal. And then a couple of minutes after that, Hipwood outmarked Puncher and kicked a goal. I don't know how many on him at the end of the night. Obviously, Logan Morris went to kick 8, and he was kicking snaps around the body from the boundary line in the end. So all credit to him. He's an absolute star of the competition. But I think that was more of a learning curve for Puncher, just to see this is the standard you've got to be. And he's young, just like Morris, around the same age. So, hopefully he keeps improving. In years to come, they'll be playing on each other. But I reckon McRae would have pulled the trigger a lot earlier. That's when the game didn't mean much. He's just thinking, well, he's going to learn a thing or two, and maybe that's the best way you got to do it sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. Well, yeah, like you said, if it had been, something we had to play for, he probably would have pulled the pin earlier, but you're spot on there. But, I just thought, too, one of the highlights of the boys, I think, was the former Swadley. He's been absolutely magnificent. He had 32 disposals, 6 marks, 2 tackles, and a goal. And, like there wasn't a lot of positives, but I thought he was good, Bill. But I thought the form of the younger players like Swanley, Steele, Long, Anderson, Allen and Weston, these sort of guys, they're going to be our future. So I thought that was a good positive. They all had a crack and they're playing against the best side in the competition. And I think they've still got a couple of good players to come back. So very pleased with Swanley's game. And I think the young ones, like you said, will just keep putting games into them, and learn from the experienced guys. And, I'm sure they'll be the nucleus of our side, in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, no, very exciting, and we've seen a few of them this year. Maybe McRae's hand and the selectors have been forced a little bit, so injuries and all that. But yeah, we've seen what they can do now. We've got to take that. So no, it's a few positives to take out of it. We haven't, sorry, I haven't really been calling out your segments, so I'm guessing that was your positives for the game. And just my negatives, just a couple to look out for was last week against the Hawks, even though we drew in the end and both had, 27 plus scoring shots at goal. But a few times, as we saw, Hawthorn got us out the back. They had so many options. If they had have just hand passed it over the top or Ginnivan dribble kick that we all laughed at. But Hawthorn could have ran into probably another 4 or 5 goals and they really shot themselves in the foot. Whether he's trying something out leading into finals, but our pressure is really high. But once the teams get through, we're outnumbered, and teams. If we allow the Dogs to do that this week, and just to point out too, the Dogs scored heaps from defensive 50 against Melbourne, so I reckon that's what they're going to try and do. They get their running game going, they kick it over the top, they run in waves, and get that hand pass game going. It's going to keep them dangerous, even if Norton doesn't play. Um, They've got a couple of young key forwards they can choose as well. So they're going to keep us guessing. And the Pies, they want to be up to scratch in terms of that pressure and keeping the ball locked in. Because if they, against Brisbane too, just walking into goals, that we can't afford that. If we give away, 3 or 4 of those throughout the game and the momentum shifts and all that, then the doggies will get their tails up and pun intended, Fossil, and they'll go to town. So yeah, it's one thing we really need to watch out for
Yeah,
this week.
no, and you're right. Yeah, and the other thing too was with going back to that Hawthorn game too. Like a lot of the times, off half back we get the overlap going, but we just blasted the ball out. And they had 2 or 3 sitting back there. A couple of times, I think the younger boys were out on the half forward flank. Maybe they should have gone wide and then tried to bypass them. And our field kicking was pretty ordinary at times. And whether that's lack of talk or what, I don't know, but we just kicked it straight to them 3 or 4 times. We had got the overlap going. We probably could have got another 4 or 5 goals too, William. So
Mm.
that's something they've got to concentrate on, because it's going to make a big difference in winning and losing the game. So hopefully they pick up next week.
Exactly. And just my last negative, I'll say, and I know we've spoken about this year, and people are going to say that I'm a Jack Crisp hater. I'm really not. Like he's got another year that he's triggered in the clause there, Fossils. So good on him. He's a record holder for most consistent games, but another, and bear in mind it was against Brisbane, a game that didn't mean much, but 13 touches, 5 marks, 5 tackles and 3 turnovers. Like it's not much, really, when they look at some of these young fellas and say, well, not saying they could do that, but yeah, where are you looking for your future if that's a type of turnout? I think his average probably what 17 touches a game, Fossil. I don't have the stats in front of me,
Yeah,
but
probably something like that. Yeah, well, like a couple of times he's gone in the middle and he's been really, really good. Then
mm.
other times, like you said, his numbers are probably a bit low. So yeah, well, hopefully next week he can really lift because they're the sort of players we need, to help out the younger fellas, the
Or
guys that have
break or
been down
break
the
the
track.
lines. Like, yeah, we've got a few young players in, and that's going to be our selection discussion soon. But the
Mm.
guy to break the lines against, like, I think I was talking to you over the weekend that I can say a few games like against West Coast and where he went to the centre, he got a few clearances, and the only problem is it's only been a handful of times this year you can actually say, well, Chris really contributed to the win, and he's just become that, guess that role player. But yeah, you sort of have a bit of high expectations when you're 30, 31, however old he is, 32 years old. But yeah, just
Yeah,
and he's held
young.
this game's record, but I guess it's like McRae's mantra nearly that they're undroppable, and you just go, well, could he be doing better? Should we give someone else an opportunity? Obviously, welcome into finals, and I'll just have the torch on him a bit, but he's he does stand up in finals, as we've seen. 2023, he was one of our best players, and Jordan De Goey as well. Geez, he is in good form on the weekend, Fossil, but we'll
Well,
get to him soon with our
magnificent.
votes. But yeah, just a bit of a watch on Jack Crisp. But going into next season, is he gonna improve? Is he gonna play better? Is he gonna play a different role? So anyway, we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah.
But I'll get to your 3-2-1, Fossil. What's your votes this week?
Oh, mate, De Goey, absolutely magnificent. Will 32 disposals, 6 marks, 2 goals. And when he didn't have the ball, he brought other players into the game. I thought he was absolutely magnificent. Swaddling, I gave 2 votes. I think I said before, 32 disposals, 6 marks and a goal. And I noticed he had a few more tackles than he did last week. I think the other week, well, he had 0.
Hmm,
So maybe that's something they're teaching him. But
yeah.
he was very good, and I could have raffled the last one, but I thought Cameron was pretty good. Will 15 disposals, 34 hit outs, bit down on his marks, though. He only took a couple of marks, but like you said, maybe they'll just rest him and just get him through for next week.
Well, not an easy task either up against Draper, and yeah, they've got a pretty all over the ground. They've got a good set up the line. So if you play
Yeah.
well, I think to go in 14 touches the first quarter, and he had 16, early in the second. So if he was
Mm.
going hammer and tong, he probably would have broken the 40 mark. But anyway, it's good form anyway going into finals. And Swaddling, like you said about the tackles, but that gut running he did to stop Cameron, that's when Morris kicked it out in the full. But that second, third effort, that's exactly what you're looking for. And I think we found an absolute star in Swaddling. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Well, he is
there you
spot on
go.
there. He's exactly like Chelsea, William. He's learning from him. You just never give up, and you just never know. They can fumble the ball or anything, and you might end up with a goal.
Yeah,
You just
exactly.
never know.
Oh well, he does go forward and kick goals too. He's nearly kicking a goal a game. I gave him 1 vote. Alan gave him the 2. I will talk about him in a sec. I gave him 2 votes again. He goes on to some of the best midfielders. He still gets plenty of the ball himself. And De Goey with the 3 votes there. He was it's no hit, no knock on Nick Dacos. He rested for most of the game, so it's you wonder he end up with what 26 touches.
Yeah,
He would have had
yeah,
another Dacos game, and some people are disappointed because now he's not averaging 35 and 1. But I think everyone's well and truly, understanding of how good this kid is, and he's only going to get better. So very much looking forward to that as it unfolds over the years. But um, Edward Allen, Fossil, what would be your reaction if we've told him that we're waiting to sign Butters, and they've given him a 2-year contract, which is unders until that Butters decision is made. He'll probably end up at Geelong because they'll just give away a few cows and land. But how would your reaction be if Ed Allen said, "Well, stuff you, I'm going to go back to WA now"? So yeah, what's your
I'll tell you what, William, I'll be very disappointed, mate. And like with the retirements, and I'm not quite sure how many they're going to have off the list, probably 6 or 7. And if they reckon they got the cash, mate, I'll tell you what, they should have him signed up straight away. I just don't understand, William. Like they sign some of these players on 1 year deals, and they spend half the time in the twos, and you got this young fella, working his butt off and doing a magnificent job. Why they're not talking to him unless we don't know something, Will, but I'd have him signed up, mate, because there's going to be clubs coming for him. I'm telling you.
well, particularly West Coast, obviously the family connection back there, but we'll get into that topic later. I just wanted a quick thought because that 2-year deal and they gave him unders by all reports. So hopefully they know what they're doing with Fossil, but fingers crossed. If he goes, I'm going to be very upset too. I'm going to be, yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
I think
angry because,
he'll have a lot of mates, William. I'm telling you, mate,
yeah,
because I don't know why they don't offer him a 4-year deal, William, and
yeah,
tie him up.
exactly.
I
Oh,
just
well,
don't,
like
I
I said,
just
we'll see
don't
what
get it.
Butters like. Maybe he's just saying, okay, I'll hold out for Butters if they don't get Butters, which I think we're probably third in line, Geelong Bulldogs, then the Pies, unless he does, want to go to Richmond and go through the rebuild. But anyway, we'll wait and see what happens. Just with the game day prediction or game day competition, guys, unfortunately, no winners, but 114 responses, Fossils. So we're starting
Well,
to,
that's
I
magnificent,
guess,
Will.
as the prize money
That's
goes
good.
up and, the responses come in. So thank you everyone for having a dip there. But yeah, two goals to Membry. Like I said, McStay and Schultze, usually not that quiet. So, but all the pressure, I guess, like McStay, Brisbane would have started and gone, okay, well, he's obviously, and he would have played a lot more ruck with Cameron resting as well. So it's,
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
said, in the game, you can forgive McStay, and he's been absolutely elite the last, 2 months, 2 and a bit months of the year. So we can give him a little out there, Fossil. But Membry with the two goals and 42 touches between Dacos and Sidey. Dacos could have got a lot more, but anyway, no one. I think two people guessed two goals, but nowhere near in the disposals. So anyway, guys, so I did talk to Fossil. We're looking at possibly we'll have the same concept next week. We'll guess how many disposals and goals, but depending on how this week goes and if we can, we might try and secure some tickets and actually do a giveaway if we can secure them to this week's game, Fossils. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
idea,
we'll
Will.
we'll keep you
Yeah, that'd
guys
be nice.
updated. So that's on Facebook. You go to Flag Pies. That's the page we have there, and yeah, we try and give away some tickets, Fossil. I think they'd appreciate that, hopefully. So yeah, anyway, thanks, guys, and we'll look forward to the competition next week. Um, just some questions, Fossil. I believe you got one for me.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, William, what do you think about Collingwood playing two ruckmen next week?
In the wild card, no, no. Pretty straight. A few supporters have said this too. Why hasn't Co got a why hasn't he been given that opportunity? But if they were going to do it, I'm guessing they would have done it by now. So don't think Tim English is back yet. I think he's still. It's a bit of a interesting injury. They said they're trying to assess it week by week or day by day at the moment. So I don't think English is playing. So saying that, Lob's been okay. He's done pretty well the last couple of weeks, but yeah, no, I think Cameron should be able to, take. I know what you mean. He's probably going to help support, help our defense out a bit, but I just think that Cameron can probably stand on his own 2 feet, and yeah, I reckon he can hopefully get on top, and that goes a long way for us winning, Foss.
Yeah, but what about if they don't play puncher, William? You
It's
think he'll
another.
hold
There's
it?
another
You
question.
think
Well,
he?
I was going to talk about our changes in a bit, but yeah, I just
All
think
right,
with the
all
ruckman,
right.
I'd say no to that one, Fossil. So.
You got no idea, Petey. You blokes have got no idea.
Oh, okay, okay, fine. In the comments, guys, please. I'd love to hear your opinions on that. Yeah, I think that they would have tried it already. They had the opportunities. I would have liked to see Co already have a game or two under his belt just to see what would happen. But they obviously don't think he's ready, or it doesn't suit the structure. I don't know, but you can't be bringing him in my opinion. I'd be pretty perplexed, really, if they brought him in for a wildcard game and then, it's elimination time, Fossils. So not the time for experiment right now. So anyway, I know nothing. So there you go. That's what the fossil thinks. But
Oh
I'll
yeah,
run.
well the only reason is William. The only
We're
reason
going to run
is.
out of time. Let me get to my question, Fossil, because we're
Oh,
gonna
I
we're gonna
know.
run out of time. So
I
okay,
know. Let her rip.
Fossil. If we don't land these following players, so just hold on a second. If we don't land them, Lockie Neal, say, goes to West Coast, Butters goes to the Cats or Dogs, Cal Shadir goes to Melbourne or stays at the Hawks. Where do you
Yeah.
see us in terms of our 2027? Like your favourite player, Jake Stringer's looking to come to the club and possibly Hogan. But if we don't land any of these players, and they probably will then sign on Ed Allen, do you think we're contenders? Do you think we're middle table, or do you think we might bottom out? We
Well,
might end up in
if
the
they
bottom
can't get them,
six.
William, off the top of the bat, I can't think who else is around. But if they can't get them, then they just got to continue playing the young fellas. Like you got West and Buller and Podaski and those sort of guys. There might be somebody that turns up, or one of the younger ones in the twos might step up. But if they can't get them, well, then you sign Allen because they reckon they got heaps of dough, so that's what I'll be doing first. And then you just stick with the young kids with him, and then hopefully, I don't know who's in the twos. You got Smith, Cochran, these sort of blokes, McGuinness, and then you got the other two forwards. So
Are you
maybe they
gonna?
can stick with
Sorry,
them.
Foss. Quickly, you're gonna answer the question. Contenders, middle of the table, or bottom six? If we don't
When?
get, I asked you if we don't get those players, where do you think we're
No,
going to end up next year?
about the same as where we did this year, Will.
So middle of the table. Yes, thank you.
Middle of the table. Yeah, I
That's
reckon
the
about eight.
answer. That's
Eight.
the answer to the question, Fossil. All
Well,
right,
why didn't you
thank you.
say that in the first place?
Well,
That's what
I
I said,
this is
eight.
why I slowly read out questions for you and then wait to see. Like I'm going
Oh,
through my list here, so I'm waiting to see if you'll answer the question. You start waffling as usual. So,
yeah, well,
uh,
we'll eight, and we'll get Steen and Elliot back next year, don't we?
yes, yes, they'll be back at some point, but
Well,
that's
there
all
you
right. Look,
go.
all right, we're getting
Eight.
into
Eight.
wildcard round, guys, next week. A couple of changes. Fossil, Maynard, and Pendlebury obviously not going to be there. IQ should be back with Lipinski. What changes do you think for next week?
Well, I told you, Lipinski and Tonar come in, and if Pendlebury and Punchy go out, then I bring Coe in as well, and then drop somebody else. Well, even they
Well,
did his sort of.
who are you dropping? You got to make a call here. You can't
Well, will be probably Hayes or Harrison. Unfortunately, I don't like dropping the young kids.
not Harris. Well, I'd actually it's
Well, who would you drop?
somewhere between Hayes and Steele. I don't think you can drop Harrison. He gives us that run and dash, and he's been pretty good, Harrison. So
Yeah, no, well, you can't drop Steele. No
why
way,
not?
no.
If you
Well,
had to, so okay, if I had a choice between the two, I'd take Harrison. But obviously, we differ.
no, what about Hayes and Steele? I'm talking
Well,
about.
Hayes can bob up and kick some goals and put on that pressure.
Exactly. Yes,
But so can
yes,
Steele.
true.
So it's really line ball. But I think Harrison plays, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. All
yeah.
right then. All right. Well, Leo, well, there you go. So Pendlebury, Puncher, and Hayes out, and in Lipinchi, Quanar, and Co.
You
That's the
have to
final
start
five.
getting your notes above the camera, Fossil, because
I
you
can't.
look.
William, they'll be in the roof. I'm in the low ceiling here.
Okay, our big
They'll be in
call
the
for next
fan.
week, Fossils. So depends on what happens with Norton, but I'm just going to go by Craig McRae's selection history. I reckon we're going to go with one tall defender. So I think you're right. I think Puncher, as good as he's been, I like Puncher. So this is no knock on him, and I actually want him to play in this game. But my big call is that they will drop him. It'll be IQ and Lipinski in. It'll be Pendlebury and Puncher out. They're going to have Frampton with Howe and IQ taking the tall fellas or chip in, I guess. They sort of just try and make it a team defense effort. Houston dropping back and these sort of guys. So you shake your head. This is my fossil. This is my big call, and you get to make
Yeah,
one.
no,
You get
it's
to
all right.
make one
You're
in
all
a
right.
second. So, right, that's my big call. Okay. So, what about
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah. It might be cool. I just told you. I
That's
said
it.
they play. They play. The
Oh,
only
for
reason
God's
I'll
sake.
tell you why they play Co.
Yeah.
Because when he goes into the ruck, Cameron can go back and help out because I'm not quite sure who the doggies are going to bring in, but we are very tiny down back, William. I understand it might depend on the conditions too. And the other thing too is by bringing him in and Cameron goes back, it keeps McStay, Membry, and West our three tools in the forward line.
Yeah.
That's my other reason for playing the two ruckmen because when McStay goes into the ruck, poor old Westy, he's got the full back and the ruckman in front of him and Memory's up the ground, and we've only got small targets, and that was my reason for bringing Coe in. I just thought he'd take the pressure off.
All
Cameron can
right.
go back and help out.
All right, I see your logic there, Fossil. We've heard your point. So no, I see that. I just think in a wild card game, it's a big call. It might happen, but I don't think you can do that in a wild card game. You know, first
You can do it, William. I tell you what, play teams in the past have brought players in to play their first game in grand finals,
you
William.
talk, yeah. Well, Mum Pickett. You're talking about a guy who Fossil. I could have played in that game, or you could have played. Put Fossil on the wing. Richmond still would have won that grand final. So
I
if you
know,
want
but the
to.
fossil.
It
They,
wouldn't have made a
they,
difference, Fossil. They absolutely came out and creamed them. So,
they picked enough
everyone
points
talks
without
about,
me
oh,
playing,
that's
William.
incredible. It's not really. There are players these days, thanks to the fifth person on the bench or back then you had the sub. There are guys playing 10% game time. What does that mean? You're still a premiership player, Fossil. You would have been a premiership player if you had played in that game instead of Pickett. So there you go. That team wasn't going to get beaten. So anyway, last point, guys. So yeah, look, finals footy, high pressure, dominating territory and contested possessions. Fossil, I think we 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf would say, with all due respect to
Yeah,
Meatloaf.
that's
But
it. Well done, William. Good
oh
boy.
yeah, I know a thing or two, Fossil. But contested possessions, that's a huge focus this week. So the Dogs, like I said, defensive 50 going forward, they were very good. And that might be what they target now because they're going to be a bit shorter. They've still only got Norton, let's say he plays. They've still only got Norton and then surrounded by a few, makeshift forwards or small forwards like Jones, someone's going to have to be on him. That might take Quaynar out anyway. Fossil, he might have to focus on him. So it's a very
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
setup.
exactly.
This maybe Swaddling, coming of age, but yeah, I know he's more of a winger. But anyway, we'll see how they go. But yeah, but look, contested possessions and clearances. That's going to be a huge wash, definitely, because we got smashed by the Lions. I know that's their bread and butter, but that's going to be a huge focus this week. So, and like you said earlier, that's where I think the game will be won with high pressure, tackling intensity that we saw. Forget the Lions game against the Hawks, 92 tackles. We don't have to be that high, but as long as the pressure acts are on, McCreary, Schultze, they're all a bit off last week. And look, that's why I don't hold judgment to that. So
Yeah, no,
high
that's fair enough,
pressure,
mate.
tackling, and if they can fix up the contested possessions, at least match them in the clearances with Bontempelli and Richards. Obviously, two very dangerous players. Liberatore is not there, so Ned Long, Anderson, these sort of guys, the pressure's on them now, Fossil.
Yeah, and Alan and those guys, yeah, well, it'll be a good stepping stone for them, William. And like you said, I think just pressure on the ball when we're tackling, it's got to be up fairly high. But also too, well, we've just got to be a bit careful when we go into our 50. We've shot ourselves in the foot a few times from stupid turnovers, especially when blokes are open. I can understand if it's going to a pack,
Hmm.
but they just got to get their vision, And when we've got the pedal and when we're in charge of the game, we've got to make the most of it.
Well, pressure in finals footy does that, Fossil. So hopefully our maturity pays off. We're a very old team, if you didn't know, but hopefully our maturity pays off this week and they can get the job done, guys. So we'll have a big review coming up next week, and hopefully we got 5 more weeks of it or 6 more weeks, and then we'll do our season review, Fossil, eventually. So anyway, go Pies. Keep updated, guys. You go to Flag Pies on Facebook for the competition update. And anyway, there'll be usually a couple of discussion points during the week. And yeah, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, give us a share, and hopefully a nice win coming up Friday night, MCG Fossil. So big